In this video, I'm going to teach you how to quickly select different parts of a Word 2007 table and how to insert rows and columns. So just to begin, I'm just going to click into my table. And the first thing I want to show you is how to quickly select the entire table in one go. It's just this little icon up in the top left corner of your table, the little four-headed arrow. If you just hover over that, click on it once, you'll select your entire table, which means you can then do things like changing the entire font or the entire size of all of the text at the one time. So for example, if I decided everything needs to be size 10, it just makes it that little bit smaller. Just click anywhere in your table to deselect. If you want to select a single row, just go into the left margin and you'll notice how your mouse pointer changes from a small black arrow to the large white arrow. When you've got that large white arrow, just click once and that will select the row. And you can actually hold down your left mouse button and drag down to select multiple rows, and again apply some basic formatting. Similar sort of thing, if you go to the top, you'll notice that the mouse pointer will change from sort of your text to a black arrow, a drop down black arrow. Just hold down the left mouse button and drag and you can select all of your columns. Now it gets a little bit more complicated. Selecting things that are separated by a gap. Click once to select the first row or column. Hold down the control key on your keyboard and then select another row or column, and that will select things that are separated by a gap. Similar sort of thing, hold down to select your first column, control, second column. Now when you have things selected in Word, if you right click, you'll have a drop down menu that has some different options here. So this is where you get your standard cut, copy and paste. And you also have options for inserting, merging, which is when you combine two or more cells together, distributing, which I'll look at in a different video, changing your borders and shading, which I've discussed in a previous video, changing the alignment of your text, which is just sort of customizing things if you want it center justified, things like that. Auto fitting, which I've discussed briefly, that's sort of customizing how your table looks for the size of the information. You can insert captions. So what that is if you've got a lot of tables in your document, you can just number them, something like this. And each time you add a new table, it will have a different caption automatically, so the next one will become table 2. The reason you might do that is because it looks a little bit tidier when you're doing things, and then later on in your document you can actually insert, if I go to references, there'll be like a table of tables, table of figures that you can add, which will list all of the tables and which pages they're on. Okay, so other things you can do in the right click menu. You can come down to table properties, which we'll talk about in a separate video as well, because that is absolutely everything that you could ever do to a table to make it look pretty. So all the really fine level things. But when it comes to inserting columns and rows, that's the other thing I want to talk to you about. And what you can do there is just go to the layout tab at the top of the screen, which has a lot of the same options that you have in the right click menu. The buttons I'm particularly interested in are these ones here for rows and columns. Insert above, inserts a row above where your mouse is positioned. Insert below, inserts a row below where your mouse is positioned. Insert left, inserts columns to the left. Hey, notice what it did there? It did 3 at the same time. Why was that? That's because I currently have 3 columns selected. If you just have 1 column selected, 1 cell, you'll just get 1 column. If you select 2, you're going to get 2 columns. So just bear that in mind. It's more useful, say, if you're adding a lot of rows. It's really annoying to come to the end of the last row and hit tab to add a new one. You see people do that a lot. Or just selecting 1 row and then pressing insert below lots. It's a lot easier if you select all of the rows you currently have. Click insert below and you double the size of your table very quickly. Now anytime you want to delete these rows again, select them. You can click the delete button and you can delete individual cells. You can delete entire columns, entire rows, or your entire table. So if I select delete row, you can also do this from the right click menu. So right click, delete rows. Now deleting individual cells, if you do this, you'll get different options that'll say, do you want to shift the cells up? Do you want to shift them left? Or did you want to do the entire row or the entire column? So say if I went shift cells left, click OK. Notice what it does here. I still have my first cell, but then my second one is only half the size, and I've got this big gap. So things start getting a little bit complicated if you do that. What I'd recommend instead is that you just delete the entire row whenever possible. And if you do need to make it look like there's a gap, just play around with the borders instead, which is a lot easier. Okay, what else? Deleting the entire table. That's really handy to know, because if you ever go like this, select all your text and press the delete key, it will get rid of the text, but the table itself still sits there. So knowing how to delete the entire table is very useful. And that's it.